Audiobook Academy Biography presents Bill Gates. Microsoft, the world's largest software company, was formed by Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates and Paul Allen, who went on to become one of the world's richest men. Bill Gates and Paul Allen developed and built the world's largest software company, Microsoft, via technological innovation, savvy commercial strategy, and a willingness to take a hard-nosed approach. Gates amassed an enormous fortune as a result of this venture. Microsoft's chairman Bill Gates stated in February 2014 that he was resigning from the company's board of directors in order to devote more time to his humanitarian work at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Childhood. On October 28, 1955, in Seattle, Washington, William Henry Gates III was born. With his older sister, Christiane, and younger sister, Libby, Gates was raised in an upper-middle-class household. Mary Maxwell was the woman who would become William H. Gates' wife and mother-in-law. At the University of Washington, she was an extroverted, athletic student who was interested in student affairs and leadership. They were all encouraged to be competitive and to strive for excellence in a Gates family atmosphere. At their summer cottage on Puget Sound, Gates organized family athletic games, displaying early symptoms of competitiveness. Aside from that, he enjoyed board games, Risk in particular, and was very good at them, as well as Monopoly. It was a tight relationship between Mary Gates and her son, Bill, who spent her time helping raise the children and working on civic and charitable causes following a brief teaching career. The first interstate bank in Seattle, established by her grandparents, the United Way, and International Business Machines, IBM, were among the organizations she served on the boards of, IBM. When she helped in schools and in community organizations, she would often bring her son along. Education. As a child, Gates was an avid reader, spending hours poring over encyclopedias and other reference books. Gates' parents became concerned about his behavior around the age of 11 or 12. Although he was performing well in school, his parents were concerned that he would become a loner because he seemed bored and introverted at times. When Gates was 13, his parents decided to put him in Seattle's Lakeside School, a prestigious preparatory school. Math and physics were his strongest subjects, but he also excelled in theater and English. An IT firm in Seattle granted pupils at Lakeside School free access to computers. The school's rummage sale money was used by the Mothers Club to buy a teletype terminal for kids. In his spare time, Gates worked on the terminal because he was fascinated by what it could achieve. Using BASIC, he created a tic-tac-toe program for users to compete against. In 1973, Gates received his high school diploma from Lakeside. He boasted about his college SAT score of 1,590 out of 1,600 for numerous years when introducing himself to new people, a marvel of cerebral prowess. Dropped out of Harvard. In the fall of 1973, Bill Gates enrolled at Harvard University with the intention of studying law. In 1975, Gates stepped out of college to pursue his firm, Microsoft, with Allen, much to the displeasure of his parents. The computer lab was where Bill Gates spent most of his free time in high school. He barely got by on a few hours of sleep and cramming for an exam, yet he nevertheless managed to pass with a passing grade. Having the opportunity to work together with Paul Allen. Gates and Allen first met at Lakeside School, where Allen was 2 years older than Gates. Despite the fact that they were two quite different persons, the two quickly became good friends after discovering that they had a passion for computers. His demeanor was more subdued. Gates had a tough exterior and was not afraid to engage in physical conflict. It didn't matter what their disputes were, Allen and Gates spent a great deal of leisure time working on projects together. Occasionally, the two argued over who was right or who should control the computer lab. Allen once banned Gates from the computer lab after they got into an argument. To get free computer time from the company that provided the machines, Gates and Allen used to have their computer access cancelled at school. They were permitted back into the computer lab after their probation ended because they offered to help debug the program. Bill Gates created payroll and scheduling software for the computer corporation the lads broke into and for his own school during this time. A computer program called Trafo Data was developed by Gates and Allen in 1970, when they were just 15 years old. As a result of their efforts, they were able to make $20,000 in profit. To start their own company, Gates and Allen needed a business plan, but Gates' parents insisted that he finish school and go to college, where they expected him to go on to become an attorney. Despite the fact that Allen attended Washington State University and Gates attended Harvard, the two remained close. Allen walked out of college after just 2 years and went to work at Honeywell in Boston, Massachusetts. The Altair 8800 mini-computer kit was featured in a recent issue of Popular Electronics, which he showed to Gates at the time. This computer's potential to revolutionize personal computing captivated both of these young guys. Micro-Instrumentation and Telemetry Systems, a small Albuquerque, New Mexico, firm, built the Altair, MITS. A basic program to run an Altair computer was being developed by Gates and Allen, who contacted the corporation and announced their plans to the company. Actually, they didn't have an Altair or the code to run it, but they wanted to know if MITS was looking for someone to develop it. They were approached by MITS's executive director to do a demonstration. They scrambled and spent the next 2 months in Harvard's computer lab writing BASIC. Allen had never used it on an Altair computer before, so he drove to Albuquerque to try it out at MITS. It was a complete success. When Allen joined MITS, Gates quit Harvard and joined him. Microsoft was created by these two men. In 1983, Allen was diagnosed with Hodgkin's illness and left Microsoft. Allen left the company despite the fact that his cancer had been cured after a year of therapy. Allen's departure from Microsoft has sparked a slew of rumors. Some claim Gates forced Allen away, but others say it was a turning point in Allen's life, and he realized there were better uses for his time elsewhere. Microsoft's founding. To combine the terms microcomputer and software, Gates and Allen founded Microsoft in 1975. They dropped the hyphen within a year. Altair Basic Software was the company's initial offering, running on the Altair microprocessor. Things weren't going so well at first. Although Microsoft received fees and royalties for their basic software for Altair computers, it was unable to cover the company's operating expenses. It is estimated that just 10% of those who used BASIC on the Altair computer had paid for it. Computer hobbyists flocked to pre-market versions of Microsoft's BASIC software, which they then reproduced and freely distributed. For many early adopters of the personal computer, it was a hobby rather than a business. They were able to share software with their friends and fellow computer aficionados because of the ease of reproduction and dissemination. Gates had a different perspective. His view was that the free distribution of software, especially when it was designed to be sold, amounted to a form of theft. Gates warned computer hobbyists in an open letter he sent in February 1976 that free software would prevent good software from being built if distributed and used without payment. Piracy of software serves as a deterrent to software developers, preventing them from putting in the effort and resources necessary to produce high-quality products. When Gates confronted accusations of unethical business tactics, he would utilize the threat of innovation as a defense and stick to his ideals. MITS President Ed Roberts and Bill Gates had a tense working relationship that frequently devolved into verbal scuffles. Gates and Roberts had a falling out over software development in the company's course. According to Roberts, Gates was a spoilt brat who made a nuisance of himself. The following year, in 1977, Roberts sold MITS to another computer business and returned to Georgia to attend medical school and earn a doctorate in medicine there instead. Gates and Allen had to fend for themselves. In order to keep the software rights they had produced for Altair, the pair had to sue the new owner of MITS. Gates moved Microsoft's headquarters to Bellevue, Washington, in the beginning of 1979, and the company continued to write software for other computer companies in a variety of formats. Having returned to his native Seattle, Washington, after a long absence, Bill Gates got right to work. All of the company's 25 workers had a wide range of tasks, including product development, business development, and marketing, for the company's infancy. Microsoft had a rough start, but by 1979, the business was making around $2.5 million a year. Gates became the company's CEO at the age of 23. In addition to being the company's chief executive officer, he served as the company's public face. Every line of code the company shipped was evaluated by Gates, who regularly rewrote code himself when he recognized the need for it. Microsoft's IBM PC software. Bill Gates was constantly on the road praising Microsoft software as the industry evolved, with businesses like Apple, Intel, and IBM manufacturing hardware and components. He frequently accompanied his mom on his outings. As a member of various company boards, including IBM's, Mary was widely regarded as a powerful figure in the business community. Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates was introduced to IBM CEO by Mary Barra. In November 1980, IBM approached Microsoft in search of software for their forthcoming personal computer. Legend has it that someone at IBM mistaken Gates for an office help and asked him to serve coffee at his first meeting with the company. His youthful appearance did not deter IBM from trusting Gates and his firm to satisfy their objectives. There was only one snag: Microsoft had not yet created an operating system that was capable of running on IBM's latest systems. Not one to be deterred, Bill Gates purchased an operating system designed for devices similar to IBM's personal computer, PC. While working with the software's creator, he struck an arrangement that gave Microsoft the exclusive licensing agent and, eventually, full owner of the property. A lawsuit against Microsoft and Bill Gates was later filed by the corporation. For an unknown sum, Microsoft and Gates agreed to an out-of-court settlement, but neither company admitted any wrongdoing. The newly purchased program had to be adapted to function on the IBM PC by Gates. He sold it for $50,000, the same price he paid for the software when it was in its original version. He delivered it. IBM was interested in purchasing the operating system's source code, which would have provided them with the knowledge they needed. When IBM objected, Gates proposed that IBM pay a licensing fee for copies of the software sold along with their machines. As a result, Microsoft was able to license MS-DOS to any other PC maker, allowing them to quickly clone the IBM PC. Additionally, Microsoft released SoftGuard, a piece of software that enabled Microsoft Basic to run on Apple II computers. Between 1979 and 1981, Microsoft's business skyrocketed following the development of software for IBM. The number of employees grew from 25 to 128 while revenue jumped from $2.5 million to $16 million over this time period. Microsoft was founded by Bill Gates and Paul Allen in mid-1981, with Gates serving as the company's first president and board chairman. Executive Vice President Allen was appointed. With offices in Great Britain and Japan by 1983, Microsoft had established a global presence. 30% of the world's PCs were using its software at the time of its demise in 2008. In a rivalry with Steve Jobs. There are many similarities between Microsoft and Apple, despite their famous rivalry. To help develop software for Macintosh computers in 1981, Apple invited Microsoft to participate. Some developers worked on both Microsoft software and Microsoft software for Macintosh computers. Microsoft and Macintosh systems share a number of names, indicating their collaboration. Microsoft developed Windows, a graphical user interface driven by a mouse and displays text and graphics on the screen, as a result of this knowledge exchange. While the MS-DOS text and keyboard-driven operating system displayed all text formatting as code on the screen rather than what would be printed, this was a major improvement over that. As soon as he saw the potential danger this program could represent to MS-DOS and Microsoft in general, Gates was on the case. The competing VisiCorp software on a Macintosh machine would be so much easier to use for the inexperienced user, which was the majority of the buying public. In an advertisement campaign, Bill Gates revealed that Microsoft was working on a new operating system with a graphical user interface. MS-DOS applications would be able to run on the new operating system, which would be dubbed Windows. The statement was a ruse, as Microsoft had no plans to establish such a tool. It was a brilliant marketing strategy. Nearly a third of the computer market was still on MS-DOS and was unwilling to make the switch to Windows until it was released. Software developers were reluctant to produce programs for the VisiCorp system because of the system's lack of support from users who were willing to switch formats. Gates and Microsoft released Windows in November 1985, over 2 years after he made the announcement. Apple Computer had debuted the Macintosh nearly 2 years previously, and Windows resembled it in many ways. For the purposes of making Microsoft's products compatible with Apple computers, Apple had previously granted Microsoft unrestricted access to their technologies. In spite of Gates' recommendations, Apple ignored it, preferring to focus on selling computers. This was a perfect opportunity for Bill Gates to mimic the Macintosh operating system in software. By delaying the release of its Macintosh-compatible software, Microsoft responded against Apple's threat to sue. In the end, the courts sided with Microsoft. It was possible to demonstrate that, despite the fact that the two software systems were functionally comparable, each function was distinct. Reputation for competitiveness. In spite of Microsoft's enormous success, Gates never felt completely secure. Gates developed a fierce desire and competitive spirit from constantly keeping an eye on the competition. When Gates' assistant arrived at work early one morning, she discovered someone sleeping under a desk under his supervision. She was about to contact the police or security when she realized it was Gates. From product development to corporate strategy, Gates was able to view the software industry from every angle. Each corporate decision required an in-depth analysis of all possible scenarios, which he conducted by asking a series of probing questions about everything that might possibly go wrong. Everyone in the organization was supposed to be as committed as he was. As a result of his abrasive management style, he became a household name for challenging his staff and their ideas. Gates could say, "That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard," if a presenter was unprepared. Employee rigor and Gates' love for his firm were both put to the test in this challenge. For him, it was vital that others around him were fully on board with their beliefs. Office anti-competition lawsuits and Microsoft Office. He was establishing a reputation as a hard-nosed competitor outside of Microsoft, where he worked. OS/2 was developed by a group of tech companies, including IBM, to replace MS-DOS. Rather than succumb to the pressure, Gates continued to improve and expand the Windows program. Microsoft introduced Microsoft Office in 1989, a single system that could be used with all Microsoft products, including Word and Excel. OS/2 did not play well with the applications. Microsoft's new Windows version sold 100,000 copies in 2 weeks and OS/2 was soon forgotten. A near monopoly on PC operating systems was left to Microsoft as a result. The Federal Trade Commission initiated an investigation into Microsoft's marketing tactics. Microsoft was the subject of numerous FTC and Justice Department investigations in the 1990s. Microsoft has been accused of making illegal deals with computer makers that chose to use the Windows operating system on their products. Microsoft was also accused of pressuring computer makers to include Microsoft's Internet Explorer as part of the Windows operating system they sold. Microsoft was on the verge of splitting into two separate companies, one for operating systems and the other for software development. Microsoft argued that software piracy limits were a threat to innovation, citing Bill Gates' previous struggles with software piracy. Microsoft avoided a separation by reaching an agreement with the federal authorities. Gates sought creative ways to divert the strain with amusing commercials and public appearances at computer trade exhibitions during which he appeared as Mr. Spock from Star Trek. Gates remained in charge of the corporation during the 1990s, despite federal inquiries. Termination of employment at Microsoft. Upon Gates' retirement in 2000, Microsoft was led by his old college friend Steve Ballmer, who had worked for the company since its inception in 1980. Gates became the company's principal software architect so that he could focus on his personal passion projects while still serving as the board's chairman. Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates stated in 2006 that he was leaving his full-time job to devote more time to his foundation. On June 27, 2008, he worked his last full day at Microsoft. Gates resigned from his post as chairman of Microsoft in February 2014 to take on a new role as a technical consultant. Satya Nadella, a 46-year-old Microsoft executive, replaced longtime CEO Steve Ballmer. Intimate relationships. Microsoft product manager Melinda French, then 23, drew the attention of Gates, who was 32 at the time. Melinda was a fantastic fit for Gates because of her intelligence and organization. As their relationship progressed, they learned that they had a strong intellectual and emotional chemistry together. Melinda and Bill were married in Hawaii on January 1, 1994. The couple took a year off in 1995 to travel and gain a new perspective on life and the world after his mother passed away tragically from breast cancer only a few months after they were married. When Jennifer was born in 1996, they became parents for the first time. The couple welcomed 2 children into the world, a son named Rory in 1999 and a girl named Phoebe in 2002. In May 2021, the couple announced that they were ending their marriage. Assets of one's own. Gates became a millionaire at the age of 31 when he sold 21 million shares of Microsoft in an IPO in March 1986. At the time, Gates owned $234 million of Microsoft's $520 million in equity, or 45% of the company's 24.7 million shares. The company's stock has grown in value and been split multiple times during the course of its existence. When the stock touched $90.75 a share in 1987, Bill Gates became a billionaire. He has been at the top of Forbes' yearly list of America's wealthiest persons since then, or at least close to it. Gates' net worth temporarily reached $101 billion in 1999, when the company's stock price was at an all-time high and the stock had split 8 times since its IPO. Home. The Gates family moved into a 55,000-square-foot home on Lake Washington shoreline in 1997. However, despite the fact that it is used as a business center, the home is said to be very comfortable for the family's 3 children. The Gates Foundation, founded by Bill and Melinda Gates. With the help of their 2 children, Bill and Melinda, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation was created in 1994 to aid in the improvement of global health, education, and poverty alleviation. As part of its domestic work, the organization helps students in the United States prepare for life after high school. Bill was inspired by Melinda to follow in the footsteps of his mother's charitable forebears Andrew Carnegie and John D. Rockefeller and become a civic leader himself. It dawned on him that he had an obligation to donate more of his money to charity. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation was established in 2000 with a $28 billion gift from the couple's several family foundations. Much of Bill's time and attention went into the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation during the next few years. Since he left Microsoft, Bill Gates has devoted a large portion of his time and energy to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation's initiatives. In 2015, Bill Gates advocated for the adoption of the Common Core standards for K-12 education, as well as for the expansion of public charter schools. Around this time, the foundation announced that it would provide its staff with a year of paid leave following the birth or adoption of a child, demonstrating that Gates was an innovative employer. Goalkeepers is the name given to the foundation's yearly report on progress in public health sectors such as child mortality, malnutrition and HIV/AIDS, which was launched in 2017. Infectious disease and chronic disease were two of Gates' top priorities for the next decade in public health. Gates and Google co-founder Larry Page announced in April 2018 that they were donating $12 million to create a universal flu vaccination. Grants of up to $2 million will be offered for bold and inventive projects that seek to commence clinical trials by 2021, according to the VP. Although some questioned whether $12 million would be enough to spur any significant medical breakthrough, others praised the objectives behind the donation, while Gates hinted that there could be more to come. Alzheimer's disease, new directions in research. As of November 2017, Gates had pledged $50 million of his own money to the Dementia Discovery Fund. After that, he would provide another $50 million to Alzheimer's research startup companies. Gates' involvement was claimed to be motivated by his own family's experience with the disease's devastation. "The long-term aim has got to be cure," he told CNN, "and any treatment would be a big advance from where we are today. It's time to build an Arizona smart city." A smart city outside Phoenix, Arizona, received $80 million from one of Gates's companies in 2017. According to Belmont Partners, a real estate investment group, a new city called Belmont will create a forward-thinking community with a communication and infrastructure spine that embraces cutting-edge technology, designed around high-speed digital networks, data centers, new manufacturing technologies, distribution models, autonomous vehicles and autonomous logistics hubs. According to reports, 3,800 acres of the almost 25,000 acres planned for the site will be used for office, commercial, and retail space. A further 470 acres will be devoted to public schools, leaving a total of 80,000 acres available for residential development on. Coronavirus. Gates had been warning for years that the world was unprepared for the next pandemic, and his dire predictions came true in 2020 when the new coronavirus broke out. With $125 million pledged by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Wellcome Trust, and MasterCard earlier this year, the outbreak was halted. Gates later said the foundation will invest billions of dollars in establishing vaccine factories. Awards. For his humanitarian efforts, Bill Gates has been honored with various accolades. For his contributions to the world, Gates was named one of Time magazine's most influential individuals of the 20th century. Gates and his wife Melinda, along with Bono, the lead vocalist of rock band U2, were also selected People of the Year in 2005. Many universities throughout the world have conferred honorary doctorates on Bill Gates. In 2005, Queen Elizabeth II awarded him the honorary title of Knight Commander of the Order of the British Empire, KBE. The Mexican government honored Bill and Melinda Gates with the Order of the Aztec Eagle in 2006 for their global health and education philanthropy. They received the Presidential Medal of Freedom from President Obama in 2016 for their charitable efforts. Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button for more content like this. See you in next video.